Hello everyone, my name is Wahyu Nugraha from Group 1. In this video, my friend Hilman, alias Aura Maulidia, and Aura Syifa and I will explain about our lesson plan. The topic is fractured story, focus on writing and text type used.
To start, I'm going to explain the profile of this lesson plan. So, this lesson plan is created to teach English to the second semester of 10th graders, whose English level is from A1 to B1. The specific topic that we took from the National English Coursebook is fractured stories, and the text type that aligns to that topic is narrative text. So we chose narrative text as our focused text type in this lesson plan. Therefore, the focus skill of this lesson plan is writing skill. Furthermore, the proposed duration to conduct this lesson plan is 3 meetings with 90 minutes for each meeting. And last but not least, the proposed method to teach the topic is genre-based approach. Our group chose genre-based approach because the method focuses on helping students to master specific text genres, making it especially suitable for teaching writing skills. The method also provides a clear structure, allows for scaffolding throughout the learning process, and allows the integration of deep learning elements, which are meaningful learning, joyful learning, and conscious learning. In this lesson plan, our group ensure each learning activity aligns with those elements. So, without any further ado, let's dive into the first meeting plan.
So for the first meeting, we divided into two sections. For 30 minutes, building knowledge of the field. The objective, you can see there are three objectives, and the material and the resources. Picture an example of popular fairy tales, folktale, fable, etc. And then simple and table template like original story versus fractured story. Media and technology, we use whiteboard, marker, LCD projector, and PPT material about fractured story. And then the activities, the first one is warm up for 10 minutes. So the teacher greets and asks students like, do you know what fractured stories are? And then give picture about the example of popular fairy tales, folktales, and fable, and then ask what is the story about, what is the character, and how it's end. And then follow-up question like, what if we change the story, ending, setting, or add some character? And second activity is explanation for 15 minutes. The teacher explain the definition and general information about fractured story, and then show a simple table like the differences and similarities aspect between fractured story and original story, and then explain the function and purposes of writing fractured story. And the last activity is closing for 5 minutes. So the teacher asks, what did you learn from changing the story, and how does it make the story's message different? For assessment, the teacher uses an observation and takes a brief notes on student verbal answer and engagement.
So after the students learn the basic idea of fractal stories in the previous explanation, now we move to modeling of the text. In this stage, students explore and analyze model text before they start writing their own fractal story. The main objective of this lesson are for students to identify the structure of fractured story, compare the original and fractured version of Malin Kundang, and recognize important language features such as past tense, verb, and adjective. For the material, I use both versions of Malin Kundang from the textbook, a comparison worksheet, and a short video of Little Red Riding Hood in a modern version. To make the learning more fun and engaging, I also use Google Docs and Projector to help students highlight and discuss. The lessons run for 60 minutes, divided into several parts. First is activity. Students watch the factor story video and discuss what makes it different from the original version. This creates joyful learning. Then in guided reading, they read both versions of Malin Kundang and identify the story structure. This support a meaningful learning. And the next, in text comparison and discussion, students work in pairs to analyze how the fractured version changed the story tone and the message, which promote conscious learning. After that, they explore language features like verb and adjective using Google Docs. Finally, maybe in the last minutes, in short, we give the student a short reflection. Then the student can share ideas about how they would fracture another story like Cinderella or maybe Timun Mas. And for the assessment, I use simple formative technique such as observation, worksheet review, and short reflection. The goal is not for grading, but understanding how well students can identify structure, language, and meaning while enjoying the activity.
The next step is joint construction of text with the objective. The first one is collaboratively compose a fractured story based on familiar tale, applying appropriate narrative structure and language features with at least 70% of accuracy. The second one is use brainstorming, outlining, and drafting techniques to develop creative story ideas in groups. The third one is provide and receive peer feedbacks to improve the group's fractured story draft. And for the materials and resources, we use example of fractured stories, narrative structure handouts, like the beginning, middle, and end, and peer feedback forms. For the media and technology, we use whiteboard and markers, printed story prompts or images of familiar tales, chart paper for story outlines, student worksheet for drafting and feedbacks. One is activity. The first step is to review of previous material. It will be going for 10 minutes. The teacher will give brief review of fractured stories and key features of narratives, like the structure and language features, and recap of the previous lesson activity. The second activity is to brainstorming and planning. It will be going for 15 minutes. In groups, students will select a familiar tale to fracture. Students use story prompts or images to generate ideas. Students will create a story outline on chart paper, focusing on sequence of events and narrative features. The third activity is drafting the fractured story. It will be going for 15 minutes. In groups, the student will collaboratively write their fractured story draft based on the outline, and the teacher circulates to assess with language and content. And the fourth activity is peer review and feedbacks for 5 minutes. In groups, the groups will exchange draft with another group and use peer feedbacks forms to comment on storytelling, creativity, and language accuracy for 70%, and emphasize positive feedbacks and structure suggestions, and wrap up and reflections for 5 minutes. Each group briefly shares one highlight of the story and one area for improvement. Remind students to revise their story based on peer feedbacks before the final submission. For the assessment, the first one is peer feedbacks, and the second one is teacher feedbacks. When teacher observes student during the group work, then reads the story draft and gives quick feedbacks to the students.
For the next step, which is independent construction of text, with the objectives of by the end of the lesson, the students will be able to first independently create an original fractured version of a known story that demonstrates at least 70% accuracy in organization and linguistic features. Second, revise and edit their story based on peer and teacher feedback. And third, present their individual fractured story confidently, demonstrating clear pronunciation, expression, and engagement with the audience. The materials and resources are an example of a fractured story and also peer feedback, checklist, and rubric. For the media and technology will be used is Google Docs to write their fractured stories and also to write the peer comments, and Canva to make the visuals to present, and projector for the class presentation. For the first activity is creative writing, where they would first write a story outline before writing their own fractured story, and the teacher provides questions that guides the student to promote critical thinking. And next activity is peer collaboration and feedback, where students exchange their draft of the fractured story and give peer feedback using the checklist, and the teacher guides them on how to give a proper constructive feedback. Next activity is revision and reflection, where students revise their drafts based on the peer and teacher comments. Next is presentation and performance, where students will present their fractured story in front of the class, and classmates provide short peer appreciation comments. And for the last activity is class reflection, where a teacher would lead a short discussion using questions like, what did you learn about storytelling and creativity today? How can you use feedback to improve your writing in the future? And for the assessment tool is peer feedback form and writing and presentation rubrics.